everyone, welcome back to my next video. Xin chào các bạn. Trong video này mình sẽ đọc đoạn thứ hai, đọc thuộc đoạn thứ hai của bài Day of the Dead trong phương pháp Effortless English của tiến sĩ A.J. Ho. Rồi đầu tiên mình sẽ đọc thì hiện tại đơn, xong rồi mình sẽ chuyển sang thì quá khứ và sau đấy mình sẽ trả lời phản xạ theo thì quá khứ cùng với tiến sĩ A.J. Ho nhé. Rồi, let's get started. The atmosphere is like a party. There are people everywhere. Families are sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. They clean the graves and ate fresh flowers. I walk through the cemetery and admire the beauty of all the colorful flowers. Rồi mình chuyển sang quá khứ nha. The atmosphere was like a party. There were people everywhere. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. They cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers. I walked through the cemetery and admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers. Rồi, bắt đầu mình sẽ phản xạ này.
Interesting. It was interesting on the Day of the Dead, November 1st.
The atmosphere in cemetery was like a party.
In the cemetery was like a party.
Like a party.
Was the atmosphere very sad?
No, it was not. The atmosphere was like a party.
No, the atmosphere was not sad.
The atmosphere was like a party. The atmosphere was very happy.
The atmosphere was very happy. Was the atmosphere sad or happy?
The atmosphere was happy.
The atmosphere was happy.
The atmosphere was like a party.
Like a party.
Like a party.
What was like a party?
The atmosphere, yeah. Well, the atmosphere was like a party.
The atmosphere in the cemetery
was like a party.
Was like a party.
Party.
Where was the atmosphere like a party?
Where was the atmosphere like a party? In the cemetery. The atmosphere like a party in the cemetery.
In the cemetery. Right? The cemetery. The atmosphere was like a party
in the
cemetery. Was the atmosphere like a party at my house?
No, it was not. Not at my house. The atmosphere like a party at the cemetery.
No, not at my house. The atmosphere was like a party in the cemetery.
In the cemetery.
The atmosphere was not like a party
in my house.
In my house. So the atmosphere was like a party. There were people everywhere.
Families were sitting around the graves
of their dead ancestors. Where were the families sitting?
The families are sitting around the graves.
Around the graves.
They were sitting around the graves.
Who was sitting around the graves?
The families were sitting around the graves.
The families, right? The families were sitting around the graves. Were they sitting around the trees?
No, they was not. They were not sitting around the trees.
No, they weren't sitting around the trees.
They were sitting around the
They
graves.
were sitting around the graves.
The graves.
So, where were they sitting?
Was around the graves. They were sitting around the graves.
Around the graves. Families were sitting around the graves
of their dead
of
ancestors.
their dead ancestors. Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors?
Yes, they were. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors.
Yes. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Were they sitting around the graves of their friends?
No, they were not. They were not sitting around the graves of their friends.
No, not really.
No,
They were
not
sitting
really.
around the graves of their dead ancestors.
Ancestors.
Who was sitting around the graves?
Families. Families were sitting around the graves.
That's right. Families were sitting around the graves. Whose graves were they sitting around?
Their dead ancestors. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors.
Whose graves were they sitting around? Yes, their dead ancestors. Their ancestors.
Dead ancestors.
Their ancestors' graves.
They were sitting around
They
the
were
graves
sitting
of
around
their dead
the graves
ancestors.
of their dead ancestors. Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors or the graves of their friends?
Of course, the graves of their dead ancestors. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors.
Ancestors, right? They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. They cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers.
They cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers.
Who cleaned the graves?
That's right, the families.
That's right, the families. What did they add?
They added fresh flowers.
They added fresh flowers.
Fresh flowers.
Did they add food?
No, they not. They didn't. They didn't add food.
No, they didn't add food. Did they add money?
No, they didn't. They didn't
add money. They added
fresh flowers.
What did they clean?
They cleaned the graves.
They cleaned the graves.
They cleaned the graves.
Whose graves did they clean?
Their dead ancestors' graves.
Their ancestors, right?
They cleaned their
ancestors' graves. Where did they add flowers?
They added flowers to the grapes.
Where? Oh, they
right.
added flowers
They cleaned
to the graves.
And added fresh
That's right.
flowers.
They cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers. Good. I walked through the cemetery and admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers.
I walked through the cemetery and admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers.
Where did I walk?
I walked through the cemetery. Through the cemetery. I walked through
I walked
cemetery.
through the cemetery? Did I walk through the park?
No, I didn't walk through the park. I walked through the cemetery.
No, I didn't walk through the park. I walked through the cemetery. Where did I walk?
I walked through the cemetery. Through the cemetery.
Through the cemetery. Who walked through the cemetery?
Me, AJ. I walked through the cemetery.
I did, AJ. I walked
I walked through
the
the
cemetery.
cemetery.
Did I walk through the cemetery? Or did I walk through the park?
Of course, through the cemetery. I walked through the cemetery.
I walked through the cemetery. That's right.
That's right. I admired
And
the beauty
I
of
admired the
all the
beauty
colorful
of all the
flowers.
colorful flowers. Did I admire the beauty of the trees?
No, I didn't. I didn't admire the beauty of the trees.
No, I didn't admire the beauty of the trees. Did I admire the beauty of the children?
No. I didn't. I didn't admire the beauty of the children.
No, I didn't admire the beauty of the children. What did I admire?
I admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers.
The flowers, right? Yeah, I
Flowers.
admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers.
Flowers.
Who admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers?
Me, AJ. I admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers.
That's right. AJ, me,
AJ
admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers. Where were the flowers?
Flowers. The flowers in the cemetery.
On the graves.
On the graves
in the
the cemetery. The flowers,
The flowers
were on
were
the graves
on the
the
graves.
cemetery.
In the cemetery. Were the flowers in the park?
No. The flowers was not in the park.
No, they weren't in the park. Were the flowers in my house?
No, the flowers was not in my house.
No, they weren't in my house. Where were the flowers?
The flowers on the graves in the cemetery.
The flowers were on the graves
in the cemetery.
in the cemetery. Where did I walk?
I walked through the cemetery.
I walked
I
through
walked
the cemetery.
through the cemetery.
When did I walk through the cemetery?
I walked through the cemetery on the day of the dead, November 1st.
Ah, November 1st, the
The
day of the dead.
dead, November 1st, the day
November
of the
1st,
dead.
the day of the
I
dead,
walked through
I walked
the cemetery.
through the cemetery.
Cemetery.
What was the cemetery like?
The cemetery